What's up, guys? It is Steve Witchell coming to you live. Steve Witchell, founder of Cover Band Central, all the platforms. Coming to you live today. It's Tuesday, June 29th, noon Central Time, 1 p.m. Eastern. And today we have a super special guest. And we're going to be talking about websites today. And guys, even if you have a Facebook page out there, Facebook group, whatever you have, websites are still the #1 way to represent yourself online in a professional way. So if you're a performer, a solo artist, whatever, if you have a band, you definitely still need a website. It's not going away anytime soon. It's really been the king on the internet for representing yourself, putting all your stuff out there and letting people find you and see what you're all about. So I know it's difficult for people with websites because they don't know the first thing about design. They don't even know about hosting. They don't know all these different things that you need to do. I was one of those people too. But fortunately, there's Bandzoogle out there. And I've been seeing about Bandzoogle for years. And I'm like, who are these guys? What is this deal? And then I saw that a bunch of Cover Band Central members had been using Bandzoogle for their website. So I checked those out. And they look fantastic. They look slick. They look modern. They're easy to navigate and professional, which is the most important part of this. And you need to have this online to represent yourself in this day and age. If you're trying to get a gig or you're trying to meet people or trying to get yourself out there in any way, you need a website. And there's no more professional or affordable way that's better to do this than Bandzoogle is. They specialize in websites for musicians. What could be better than that? So today we are fortunate enough to have Bandzoogle with us, and we're going to have Dave Cool, and that is his real name, come in and talk to us and show us all the stuff you can do with Bandzoogle. And if you want to get a head start, there is a link in the description here. You can click on that. We've partnered with them, so they're offering a special discount, and the details are in the description there as well. But let's just bring in Dave, and he's going to tell you more about this. Here we go. Dave Cool, there he is.
Hey, man, how you doing?
Very good. Nice to meet you, Dave, and thank you so much for doing this today. The Cover Band Central crowd really appreciates the help because like I was just saying, a lot of people don't really know what they're doing. When I told a story last week when I first had a band 20 years ago, and I had a website. I needed a website. I actually went and learned HTML, and I created a website out of just code. It was very simple. That was like the Web 1.0 age, but nowadays, websites have come a long way, and thank goodness you guys are around to help us out with this.
Awesome. No, I appreciate that. I appreciate the kind words, and thanks so much for having us. We have a ton of cover bands that use Bandzoogle, of course, being a website platform specifically for bands. And
Facebook user loves Bandzoogle.
Woo, thank you. Always love hearing that. We've been around for 18 years now, and we were founded. It was kind of similar origin story. Like, you were mentioning that you learned how to code and like built your own website. The founder of Bandzoogle, Chris Vincent, was the bass player and like the big rock band up here in Montreal, Canada for years, and they were signed to a major label, and he custom designed their website, and they created this amazing online community engaging with their fans. And when the band broke up because the singer went solo, which happens, the label hired Chris to design all the websites for all the artists on the label. It was a huge label, so he had like 60 or 70 websites to oversee.
Wow.
And so he designed them all, and then there's like, update my bio, add this gig date, change this photo, and he was like, timeout. And he coded a control panel and gave them all a login and said, do it yourself. I don't have time. And he was like, wait a second, this might be handy for other musicians. So Bandzoogle was born out of that 18 years ago, and now we power, over 55,000 websites.
No kidding. Wow.
Around the world. Yeah. So, and we're all either current or former musicians at the company. I was a punk rock drummer in a past life. Just before, like the summer before the pandemic hit, half our support team was on tour in the summer, like supporting their latest albums. Like it is a very music centric company.
That's great. Yeah, I mean, you guys are definitely the industry leader in this for musicians. There's no doubt about it. You know, you have been for a long time. So it's really a pleasure to have you come in and talk to the Cover Band Central community. Who, like I said, a lot of us we need your help. So hook us up.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna try. So, you know, I'll tell everyone a little bit of, you know, about what Bandzoogle does and the different features, and then get into some, you know, website best practices. Which, if you already have a website, you can take this advice and apply it to your current site. Or if you're thinking about building a website or building a new site, you can take this and use it to start from scratch. But it's very generic. Obviously, we'd love if you're a Bandzoogle member, but if you're not, the advice will still be relevant.
There you go. Free advice, people.
Awesome. So should I share my
go ahead.
screen?
And I have to click it on my end as well, but
yeah, there it is.
All right.
So here we are. Steve, let me know if this looks better after I do this thing. That should hopefully look better. Awesome.
That's good. I'll take this little logo out. I don't want it to be in the way. Okay, there we go.
Awesome. So shall I dive in?
Dive right in, brother.
Awesome. So how to build a website for your cover band. Now, look, having played in bands that played cover songs in the past, and our experience, at Bandzoogle, we know that a lot of musicians do their own original stuff, the original music in bands, solo stuff, but also play cover music and playing cover bands, and you can make some really solid money from doing that. So I'm going to talk a little bit about how a website specific to cover bands differentiates a little bit from if you're just doing original music, and I'll kind of mention some tips for both. But at first, I'll just go over a little bit of what Bandzoogle is. We talked briefly about it in the intro, but just to go a little bit more in depth, it's a website platform and direct-to-fan sales and marketing platform specifically for musicians. You can build your own website without having to know any coding. It's point and click. I keep trying to bring this slogan back, but for years, Bandzoogle's official company slogan was "Bandzoogle so easy your drummer could do it." So keep trying to bring that back, but I'm not getting anywhere with our marketing team. But anyways, it's very easy to build a website, and you get everything included. So it's an all-in-one platform. You get your custom domain, so you're not getting a profile on bandzoogle.com. It's your custom domain name that you own and control. You get hosting included as well. Of course, we have a bunch of features specific for musicians. Our music players have a ton of functionality where you can stream, offer free downloads, you can sell music commission free, you can set the price, add lyrics. There's different file formats available. You can import directly from SoundCloud. We do album pre-orders, SoundScan reporting if you're looking to chart on Billboard charts. Calendar, which is obviously super relevant for cover bands. You can sell tickets to shows and live streams commission free as well. You can set recurring events, which is very handy if you've got a regular Friday night gig at a certain venue, and you can have multiple calendars that highlight different dates. Built-in mailing lists, so not as relevant for cover bands, but you can build up a little bit of a database of bookers and clients and things like that. But we have a mailing list built in, so you can collect emails through your website, send professional newsletters. It's super easy to do that as well. Physical merch, so there's the digital music side. We also have a store feature where you can sell CDs and vinyl and cassettes and t-shirts and everything else. And you can set the inventory, you can put things on sale, offer discount codes to your fans, all that fun stuff. And you can sell sheet music and digital files as well.
Wow, okay.
We just in January, it's already, time is flying, but in January, we integrated with Printful, which is a print-on-demand drop shipping company, one of the largest in the world. So you can, if you're not sure, if you are selling merch and you're not sure what you should print, or if you don't want to store any inventory, you can just use Printful, and there's no cost. We don't take a cut. They don't take a cut. You only pay the cost on the printing and shipping. Well, the printing, you're probably going to charge shipping on your items, but so you can sell any type of merch, and once it sells, Printful will manufacture it and drop ship the items to your fans.
Wow, that's great.
So it's a nice low risk way of offering merch. You don't have to store the inventory. We've all probably had that box of t-shirts sitting in our closet or garage
Right.
at one point. So this kind of eliminates that. So, and it being an integration, it seamlessly matches your website. Even if you change the template and stuff, it's always going to look great.
Okay. Cool.
We added a tip jar, which I'll talk a little bit later about that. But we added a tip jar during the pandemic to offer just a really stupid easy way for fans to just donate money. So you can do that right through your website. Commission free, of course. You can run a crowdfunding campaign through your Bandzoogle website and take pre-orders and bundle music with merch and report your music sales to SoundScan. Although SoundScan did make changes where you can no longer bundle anything together. They really want the music sale to be the music sale. So you have to be a little bit careful when it comes to bundling now when it concerns SoundScan. We also have built-in fan subscriptions. So that kind of patronage model of monthly recurring revenue, that's all built in the Bandzoogle. So you can have like an online fan club where you offer exclusive content and access to content to your biggest fans in return for $5 a month, $10 a month, whatever you decided it is. So that's all built in as well.
Wow, that's fantastic to have that option. Wow, that's great.
Yeah, we saw a huge surge in usage of that particular feature when things kind of shut down for live gigs.
Sure.
And a lot more artists trying it out. And it really ranges. It's a whole other type of revenue stream. And it's not for everyone, but I mean, the revenues range from, $50 a month through several $1,000s a month that we're seeing with our users. So it's really, it's one of those things where, hey, it might pay your electricity bill every month, or it might pay, for some things that, that you weren't doing before. And a lot of artists, I moderated a panel about fan subscriptions last year, and our members who hadn't tried it before, who were live performers, were looking forward to going back to playing live so they could bridge the gap from their online fan club to give them a glimpse of touring life and playing gigs. And, so they have that revenue stream set up, and now they're going to go back to gigging. So it's a nice thing to do. We are just about to hit $80 million in commission-free sales through Bandzoogle. So that's, music, merch, tickets, crowdfunding, subscriptions, all that fun stuff. Our members have sold just about $80 million. So this is lifetime. Bandzoogle's been around for a little while. We started doing e-commerce, like with the first MP3 store feature, I think was launched in 2008. So this is historical, but what's most impressive about this number is that almost half of this is in the last 2 years alone.
No kidding. Wow.
It's crazy the amount of like direct to fan sales are happening now. Bandzoogle is of course growing as a company, but it doesn't account for all of like this. This is our members. Musicians are becoming more savvy. They're going direct to fan more often. There's a lot more you can do with your website directly in terms of e-commerce. So it's really super impressive. It makes us really happy to see. We have this ticker on our website. It makes us really happy to see it go up so quickly.
I mean, do you think that's a result of the pandemic plus the advances in technology that have helped that?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. The pandemic, we actually saw sales go up relative to the number of members we had. So artists were turning to their websites to generate more income because of the loss of live gigging income. And, we added things like live stream ticket sales and the tip jar. So when you are doing live streams, you had a couple of ways to monetize that. So that definitely contributed to that revenue. And then the fan subscriptions thing again, more artists trying that out. And then print on demand with Printful, all of a sudden you don't have to spend any money up front and you can start selling really slick merch on your website. So all those things, you're absolutely right. Yeah, it was kind of a combination of those things.
Cool.
So in terms of design, there's over 100 templates to choose from. You can sort them by genre. There's different variations for the templates. Again, it's all easy point and click editor. You can really drill down and customize the colors of every element and change the fonts. And if you're really comfortable, you can even apply some CSS styling to the site, but it's really almost not necessary to do that. We have a bunch of preset pages to make it a little bit easier for musicians to build out their sites. So if you want to add a music page and a press kit page or a live shows page, we have preset pages where we lay out the features in a way that we think you need to have on the page. So it saves you a little bit of time. You get tons of data through your website. So we have our own data, but you can also connect to Google Analytics. But all the fun stuff like website visitors, where they came from, what links brought them there, what they were searching for, and what they were searching for is really relevant to cover bands, because it depends, where your local market is, where you're looking to gig, what types of gigs. If you're looking to play at weddings or corporate events, like SEO and getting found through Google searches ends up being really important. So we give you a lot of data in the back end to show you what's happening with your website.
Yeah, I mention SEO to the audience a lot, and a lot of people don't know what that means. And it stands for search engine optimization. And what that really means is that when you have an online presence, the more you have out there, and the better you put you make your links, your backlinks, and your content, the more likely you're to be found when people search relevant keywords to you, to your band, to what you do, to the style of music you have, to your location. So having a handle on SEO is really very beneficial. A lot of people don't realize that, but it really helps when you have a website like you can get with Bandzoogle to boost your SEO.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, it's such a great point. And I'm not an SEO expert, far from it. But when I do talk about SEO, and we do have an SEO expert at Bandzoogle, his name Wes Walls, and there's a free SEO for musicians ebook on our blog sidebar that people can download. It's a really expansive guide to working with SEO as a musician. But when I do talk about SEO, for the most part, if you're playing original music and you have an original band name, if someone searches your name, they're going to find you. There's a lot of stuff we do in the back end to make sure that that's going to happen. But when it comes to cover bands is when there needs to be a little bit more strategy behind it. Because if you want to show up as best wedding band Montreal or best wedding band New Orleans, you're going to have a lot of competition there. So,
right.
For the more generic terms. So that's when you need to have that fresh content on your site and the detailed descriptions, and giving Google a lot of stuff to crawl to, and backlinks, like you mentioned, Steve, making sure that all of your socials are pointing to your website. Google wants to know what should it show people when they Google certain things, when they search for certain things. So if you're pointing all of your profiles to your website, it's telling Google that the website is the most important thing to show. And if you're getting backlinks from other sites, that helps as well. But it's a whole other workshop, but it's super interesting, especially when it comes to cover bands, because it can really help you book more gigs.
Indeed.
We have tons of integrations, social media integrations, other services online like SoundCloud and Bandcamp, Gig Salad as well, which is one that might be relevant for cover bands. So if you already have a Gig Salad profile, you can connect a couple of their widgets directly into your Bandzoogle website. And probably our best feature is our support team, who are mostly musicians, and they're online 7 days a week. So if you have any questions, even if you don't even have to be a member or even a free trial member, you can just contact Bandzoogle 7 days a week and ask them any questions, and they're happy to help out. I used to travel a lot for the company, and hope to do so again soon. But it's the number one thing that our members tell us is that our support team is the best. So
just the fact that you have a support team is helpful. But yeah, I mean, because there's a lot of companies where, and I deal with this too with my website, Cover Band Central. Getting support for stuff is not always easy.
No, exactly. A lot of people use that kind of automated, they're trying to basically find any way for you not to talk to a human. So,
right.
Yeah. Whereas with us, it's, some people ask, is this a real person? I'm like, yeah, it's a real person. Our CEO, actually, Stacy Bedford, was Bandzoogle's very first support person. And 12 years later, she's now the CEO of the company, and support is such a important part of what Bandzoogle does. So you mentioned off the top, Steve, but there is a promo code for friends of Cover Band Central. So you get the 30-day free trial, but you also get 15% off the first year of any subscription. So monthly, annual, doesn't matter. Although if you do an annual subscription, you get an extra 2 months free already. So add 15% off to that. It becomes very, very affordable to build a website. So I'm going to dive into some website advice. So we still get asked, and you alluded to it in the intro as well, it's websites have been around for a long time, and they're still really important. And there are kind of 4 primary reasons for that. Is one, and probably the most important, is that you own your website. You own that address and that little slice of the internet. So your fans, bookers, industry people, potential clients will all be able to find you as long as you keep renewing that domain name. Like I mentioned with Bandzoogle, you can register a domain name. If you ever leave Bandzoogle for whatever reason, you take that domain name with you. You own it. We just manage it for you. So that's really important because on social media, you're kind of like, I guess, leasing the space and you don't really control it. And they change things all the time. And it's, you really want to have that home base on the internet that you own and control.
Yeah, that's an important distinction because, I mean, although Facebook is the king of social media right now, who knows what's going to happen in 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, but at least you have your, it's like owning a house. It's, you have your slice of real estate and it's yours, and you can't, if Facebook crashes or whatever, it doesn't matter. You still have your place where people can find you always. And the longer you have it, the more established you become, and the better you can get at presenting yourself. And yeah, it's yours. That's a great point, Dave.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So you also own the experience. So, there's a reason why social media profiles are all the same, because they want to have a certain look and it's their brand, right? But on your website, it's your brand. And so you can create the design that you want to give the experience to your potential clients and fans, that you want them to have, and hopefully not putting a ton of distractions and ads and links on your own site.
Right.
So that's the other thing. You own the data. So again, going back to the importance of data, like all of that data that you're collecting, the emails that you're collecting through your website, you own that. And, if you are selling anything, whether it's tickets, music, merch, you earn a lot more by selling direct through your website with Bandzoogle's commission free, but there's other tools out there that, only take a small cut when you're doing it directly through your website. So that's really important. So,
yeah. So David asked if the system works in the UK, and I'm assuming this is worldwide anyway.
Oh, yes. Worldwide. Yeah. We have members in almost every country around the world. We did for our 15th anniversary 3 years ago, we did a map, and it was very close. I think we had members in almost every country around the world. So yes, absolutely able to use it worldwide.
There you go.
And in fact, I think the UK is our 3rd largest membership base after the US, Canada. So there you go. So when you're building a website, there's basically 3 types of audiences. Cover bands, I would slip in kind of a 3.1. But if you're playing original music, it's going to be like potential fans of your music. So let's say you're opening for another band or performing a showcase and people want to check out your music beforehand. There's your current fans who already know who you are. And then there's the industry and media. And in industry, you can put those are booking agents. And for cover bands, potential clients, people that are booking private events or booking venues where they're looking for cover music. Your potential fans, if you're playing original music, you got to tell your story. You got to, have your best song and best video right up front, right on the homepage, and try to get them on your mailing list, because then you can keep in touch with them over the long term. Your current fans already know you, so they're looking for what's the latest news, maybe read a blog post, check out what's coming up in terms of shows and maybe merch. And again, if they're not on your mailing list, you got to get them on your mailing list. That's super important. It's really important if you're playing original music to have that mailing list, because you're going to want to keep in touch with your fans long term. But industry and media, they have slightly different needs. They're not going to really care so much about what merch you have for sale this month or things like that. They have very specific needs and wants when it comes to visiting an artist's website. So they're going to want to know your story, what makes your band unique or different, how active you are. For cover bands, you could make sure to have a good live video right up front.
Yeah, absolutely.
A song list, for potential bookers to see what eras, what genres, what specific songs you're playing. And a lot of that can be accomplished with a press kit, which is kind of a shortcut to getting all that information. But for a cover band, website, you can the whole website is kind of that, but the press kit is a more focused version, which you should still have on your website, which I'll get into in a minute. So, when you coded your own website, I would imagine there were no templates.
No templates. I learned HTML, man. I typed it all in by hand.
That's amazing. So most website builders are template based now, and
Right. Yeah.
and there's a lot of there's a few reasons for that, but it just makes it so that it doesn't break, and that it will adapt automatically to mobile, which is obviously super important. And you don't need to know how to code anything, and you can update more quickly, and it's easier, and you can customize things a little bit more easily. Now, if you're a WordPress user and you know how to code and do some custom coding, yet you can dive in and really go to work and really customize things. And our template system is super flexible, but you can't get into the underlying code because that's what's powering the whole system. But you can get into the CSS and do things like that.
Right.
But for the most
and even if you don't know it in the beginning, you can learn as you go along if it's something you're interested in doing.
Absolutely.
So Greg has a question here real quick.
Yeah.
He said, when you say commission free, does Bandzoogle provide the payment center? If so, there's no fee for that, he says.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So that's a good question. So we don't take a commission, but we power it, we skin it so it looks good on your website. But the transactions themselves are either through PayPal or Stripe. So yes, you do have the payment processing fees.
Got it.
For both of those, which is pretty standard across the board. We don't have our own payment processing, but we use those two services to make sure that the payments are secure. And it goes from, like, we don't even touch the transaction. It goes directly from the fan to the artist. We don't get involved.
You're just the middleman.
No, exactly. So when you're choosing a template, you're going to want to think of a few things, like the types of designs you like, and what kind of image are you working with, horizontal, vertical, what kind of menu are you looking for? Do you want something on the sidebar? Do you want it on the top of the site? Do you want it underneath the header image? How much content you're going to have, what your current branding is like. And you can look, like I mentioned, our theme choose, you can actually go by genre to help narrow things down to see some images of artists, in context for the type of music that you play. So that's some of the considerations that go into choosing a template. In terms of getting started with a website, like, we tell artists they can build a website with Bandzoogle in 10 minutes, but you need to have a few things in place before that. You're not going to write your bio, shoot a music video, record music, and have a professional photo shoot in 10 minutes. But if you have professional photos, if you've got some music and or video content, you've got your bio written out, you've got your song list ready, you can plug all that stuff in very, very easily and have a really solid foundation for your website.
There you go.
Photos, this is probably the biggest piece of advice we give, because out of the box, Bandzoogle's templates look great. Our lead designer designs these templates so that they're going to look amazing if you don't do anything to them, and he pairs the fonts and the colors, and they're basically meant to just look amazing out of the box. But then you can drill down and customize every element of them, of course. But no matter what you do to them, if the photos that you're inserting into the template don't look good, if they're not professionally shot, if they have poor lighting or poorly cropped, it's really not going to look great. So we tell bands that they should be spending more on their professional photos than they are on their website, because you're going to use those photos for your header images, background images, your promotional photos, your socials, your press kit, so, and the reality is, if you have poor quality videos on your website, poor quality photos on your website, it can create a bit of a negative impression for someone that's visiting your site. Like, it's just a natural instinct of like, oh, this, they don't look as professional because their photo is, grainy and doesn't look great. Even before they hit play on your video or music, they may already have a negative impression. So it's really, really worthwhile to invest in professional photos. If you're a cover band, you can do promotional photo shoot, of course, or you can hire a photographer if you're doing like a corporate event or a wedding, and get some professional photos done in context of performing at an event, and use those for your website. Some quick tips for colors. So our color palette, I mean, you can save, I think it's up to 12 different colors on the palette. You can take colors from the template you chose. You can add custom colors. You can save all those to apply them to the different elements of your website. But really, unless you're playing like, I don't know, children's music, I guess, like you don't want to have like, 12 different colors necessarily on your website. So, if you're not a designer, and most of us aren't, most musicians aren't. So it's good to stick to 3 major colors. So you choose like a primary brand color. And for some artists, they take that from their logo, or if you're designing your website for around a new album, you can actually just take the color from the album cover and apply that as your primary color. And then, then you choose a secondary color, and then maybe a third accent color that can maybe be used for links and some small elements on the page. But, it's kind of a general rule. There's obviously, a lot of different ways to do it, but if you kind of stick to that method, it's a safe bet that you're going to put together something that looks pretty cool.
Yeah, that's good advice. Because I'm not a designer, I'm terrible at it. But when I'm doing colors, thinking like this, I always try to think of like a football team or a baseball team and their logo and what colors they use and how it contrasts like that and how they have an accent color. And so you could pick your favorite football team and pick those colors and use those for your band, or hockey team, baseball team, whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Up here in Montreal, it'll be hockey.
Yes, hockey. That's why I said hockey. I'm like, oh, Canada. That's right.
Exactly. Some quick tips for typography. Like, again, we have tons of different fonts you can choose from, and you can actually upload your own custom font to our system. So you can really get customized with fonts, but it's important not to use like a lot of wacky fonts like Comic Sans and to stick to kind of, if you're not sure what you're doing, stick to kind of some of the classics. And making sure there's good contrast. One of the most common mistakes we see is body text that is a color that is too similar to the background. You can't read it very well. You got to make sure there's good contrast between the two. And I used to do this as well. Using too much bold or italic or all caps on your website, you don't want to be screaming at people on your website. You can use it sparingly, but we do a lot of website reviews at Bandzoogle, and you see sites that are just all the content is in caps, or all like their entire bios in italic and bold. You're like, it's hard to read. So just making sure to keep things simple. Mobile, everyone knows by now they need a mobile friendly website. Most digital media time is on mobile devices now, so it's got to be seamless. All the content has to be easy to find on your website. The e-commerce has to work perfectly on mobile devices as well. Google punishes websites that aren't mobile friendly in their ranking. So if someone's searching for your band from a mobile device and your website is not mobile friendly, it's going to get lower rankings in Google searches. So Bandzoogle, obviously all the templates they're responsive, which means that if you're viewing the website on a desktop or a laptop, it looks a certain way. If you're viewing it on a tablet device, it looks a certain way. And if you're viewing it on a mobile phone, it looks a certain way. And it automatically adapts between the different screen sizes to display the content in a way that is, user-friendly.
That's great. So yeah, users don't have to think about it. It just gets done. That's great.
Yeah, exactly. So when putting together your site, you're going to have to think about the navigation. So, what menu items, menu names you're going to have, what menu options you're going to have. So it's really important to keep the navigation easy. You might notice I'm stressing that a lot. Like, just keep it simple. Limit the main menu buttons to roughly 8. Somewhere between 5 and 8 is kind of the sweet spot. Every page, every menu item should have one clear purpose. So, all the important content elements should have their own page, and then keeping the name simple. We tell musicians that their music is their art, but their website is their business. So it's important that when someone's landing on your website, you're not making them guess what they're going to find when clicking on a menu name. So it just keep it to the classics, and those for cover men are a little bit different. And again, if you're doing kind of both, if you're playing original music and covers, you can incorporate some of these into your website as well for your original music. But homepage, a bio page, a song list page, shows or calendar or events, photos and videos is one that you can can do one or both on the same page. It's kind of the one exception to the content being on each separate pages. Your press kit, and then some kind of contact or booking form that's easy to find on your site. So I'll go through each one of these pages very quickly, just to show you what kind of content you should be thinking about having on each of those pages. So homepage, again, great header image, having that professional photo, like that's first impression people are going to get. A short bio, if you're a cover band looking to play gigs, a testimonial right up front is not a bad idea. Having a live music video from a gig is a great thing to have on the homepage as well. Maybe some latest news and upcoming gigs, and you can always link out to your socials. Some people, don't have time to stay on your website for too long, but they want to connect with you. So you should have your social links visible, but not the main focus. Like I still land on artist websites where it's just like giant social media icons and then like content underneath. It's like you want to keep people on your website for a little bit, but you do want them to be able to connect with you through their favorite social media site. Super essential to have on your homepage is some kind of call to action. So a call to action is, something specific that you want visitors to your website to do. So, if you're a cover band, it could be to check out your press kit. It could be to watch your live video. It could be, straight up book you for an event, and that goes to a booking form or a contact page. But it's something that you want to encourage visitors to take an action once they land on your website. So that's traditionally going to be found like right in the header. I think we have an example here. Yeah. So this is Bandzoogle members. So their call to action is that we can help you make your wedding special, and the call to action is email us. So right up front, and they have a testimonial right underneath. So it's really, really well done in terms of what their goal is. They want to book wedding gigs, and they make that really clear. And then another homepage example is actually Tyler Keeley is the piano player there. He's a longtime Bandzoogle member, and so they have some of their upcoming shows and a description of what the dueling piano shows is right on their homepage. For a bio page or about page, depending on how many band members you have, if you're solo, you can have the overall band bio, you can have individual member bios and photos of, both photos from gigs and photos of individual band members. Again, it's so important when you're looking to book gigs to sprinkle your whole website with testimonials and quotes from previous bookers and clients. So the bio is another good place to do that. You can talk about your style, the styles of music that you play, and how much experience you have as a band. Again, I mentioned this a few times, but a page dedicated to your song list could be super helpful. Especially like we see some Bandzoogle members that have like these epic song list pages. They play like every genre and every decade, but you can, and we're actually working on a specific song list feature to make that a lot easier to kind of categorize by era and genre and mood, or, different decades. Again, you could put, a live video on that page to show people some context of what they'll be getting if they book you, and definitely keep that song list page updated as you're learning new music or retiring certain songs from your set list. This is an example of a song list, and you see it's a little bit all over the place. They play Pink, they play Prince, they play Bryan Adams and Tom Petty, and all the things. So
right,
very, very varied. Yeah, so rock, pop, and country hits 70 through today. So yeah, it's
I like that, having that all on one page like that, where you can click on that video, watch a video, and you can still scan through all those artists at the same time. That's really convenient to have.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they did a good job with that. So next is the shows page. So you're going to want to show off a little bit as a cover band. So having your calendar of events, even if it's private events, especially if it's private events, I would even say like to show that if you're interested in booking private events, even though people can't go to the venue, like the general public can't go to check it out, private event bookings can be great for cover bands and help pay the bills. And so definitely list those, and it'll show potential clients that, oh, they're available for private or corporate events, so definitely list those on your shows page. If you're playing at a pub or a venue where they're selling tickets, you could sell tickets through your site if you want. The shows page is another another place where you always want to, each page should have a little bit of visual, aspect to it. So again, photos or live video can go there. Your photos page, and this I think can go with the videos page as well. But having your official promotional photos and performance photos, you can combine this with the videos page. And for the videos page for a cover band, it definitely emphasize that live video again of just showing bookers and potential clients what it would be like to have you perform at their event. And the press kit, for cover bands, it's for original bands, it's like the one page on the site that industry are going to be kind of focusing on. For cover bands, it's there's more to having a full website dedicated to your cover band's career. But the press kit is still important because it's kind of all of those things in one easy clickable link. So it looks, gives you a complete look at what the band can offer when they book you. It's kind of like a complete online resume. So you add, versions of your bio, all the reviews and images and video and social links all onto that one page.
Yeah, I've seen some bands too put their stage plots on websites. So
that's a great point. I wish I'm right after this. I'm going to add that as a bullet point because that's also super important, especially for cover bands, because clients are going to want to know, like, okay, well, how much space do you guys need on the stage? Like, where do you need monitors? Yeah, that's a great point. Absolutely. Yeah. So this funk band, they have a quote right at the top of the press kit page, which is, again, it's always a good idea to put that, and then if they have their bio and then some press photos as well. And then you've, last but not least, you've got your contact or booking page, and that's where you want to have an email address, maybe even a phone number. If you want to offer any details for booking or general availabilities, like there was one Bandzoogle member who was booked through wedding gigs for, I think, 18 months. So he had to specify that on his booking page saying, hey, if you're getting married in the next 18 months, I'm not available. Wow. Things like that. But you can actually have an email form where you can have a simple contact form where people fill out a message and email you. But you can also use our custom form and add different questions and fields. So, whatever information you need as a band to gather from the potential client in terms of, like, what they're looking for, what their budget is, what the date ranges are, what the date is. You can collect all that and make the whole process a little bit easier through that type of form rather than a simple email or email form. Tip jar is one of those things we added, especially when people were playing live streams, a simple way to drive fans to your website. And we saw bands using this really successfully, where they would play live streams weekly or every couple of weeks and then drive fans to their website that had a tip jar and maybe some merch underneath. So you're selling merch as well. For cover, we're trying to, internally we're discussing, like, how could this be relevant for cover bands? Of course, you can, do it during live streams, but even, if you're playing a gig and maybe it's a corporate event or a wedding, and you mention that you have your website, it's almost like a virtual passing the hat of, like, hey, if you want to give the band a little something, it's a way for people to do that directly through your website. Like, if they had a good time that night and saw your band, maybe they'll go to your website and leave a tip. And we saw tips ranging from $2 to $1,500 during the pandemic of, like, individual tips. So it's one of those things where you never know unless you put it out there.
Yeah, that's true. This topic comes up, Dave, a lot in the Cover Band Central group about the efficacy of tip jars. And I'm just going to sort of reiterate what you said. There's people that have that money that want to tip you, that appreciate what you provide as a band and as an entertainment, and they want to give back. And there's some people have money and they want to give you $1,500 tip. So you need to provide a way for people to do that. And having something set up on your own website like that's permanent set up so anybody can come 24/7 and do that is a no-brainer. I mean, how could you not take that option?
Absolutely. And we released some data 6 months into the pandemic. In those 6 months, just under $300,000 in tips through that feature were given. The average tip was $42.
There you go.
So you never know. Like, it's kind of a similar, for if you're playing original music and you're selling your digital music, either individual tracks or albums, we often encourage artists to make it pay what you want or pay what you can.
Right.
Because, if you set the price at $1 a track or $10 an album, then you're going to get $1 a track and $10 an album, which is fine. But, if you set it as, you can set a minimum of like 50 cents and $5 or whatever. But if you give fans the opportunity to give more, like you said, Steve, like there are people out there who they've got money and they want to support your career. So if you're not giving them the avenue to do that, they can't. So, similar to the tip jar for sure. So,
cool.
We've got, I think Steve, you already shared this with the community, but there's a website guide for cover bands on the Bandzoogle blog. I'll have a bit of a website for your cover band. So it goes into a little bit more details, similar content to what was in this. But if you want to have something to refer back to when you're building out a site, you can check out that guide. And, we've got that promo for Cover Band Central, friends of the community, to get that 15% off discount off their first year.
Yes.
Awesome.
There's my thing. There we go. Excellent, Dave. Right. Yeah, I mean, again, it's really so important for you to represent yourself professionally out there if you're trying to get work. And if you don't want to bother with having to design things and no code, it's so much easier now than it used to be. I mean, I swear to you, dude, I had a book. I still have it. It's, this thick of how to write code in HTML. And I started with the very basics and I learned it because it was important enough for me. And that was a cover band. It was important enough for me to have a representation online so I could point people and say, okay, go check us out, or go, contact us this way, check out our videos, book us this way. And it worked, but I put a ton of work into it. And I wish I had Bandzoogle 20 years ago.
Yeah, no doubt. But you know what, man, like learning HTML, like, and it's still like, even though services like Bandzoogle make it easier, like to have that knowledge, I'm sure comes in handy a lot.
Yeah. It doesn't hurt.
No.
I don't know who you are, but Facebook user said I've used Bandzoogle for years. My best endorsement.
Oh, awesome. Yeah. It sometimes comes up, like people ask, like, do people keep their websites for a long time? Like, and it's funny, like it's not even close. Like it by far the biggest reason someone cancels their Bandzoogle account is because their band broke up.
Well, yeah.
So they most we've got members who've been with us for 18 years, 17 years, 16 years, so because that website, like you mentioned right off the top, it's still king. It's still that online presence that you need. So, we have a lot of ours who have been with us for a long time. So we always appreciate that. Hearing that.
So you should get a website for yourself as an individual musician and a website for your band. So when your band breaks up, you still have your website for you, right?
Exactly. And you can manage both of them from the same account at Bandzoogle. So
there you go. And David said the tip jar is a great idea. We definitely push that.
Awesome. Thanks, Dave.
Yeah, I mean, it's a one-stop shop for everything. Everything that you need to represent yourself online, to make yourself some money, get yourself out there, it is provided by Bandzoogle. It's perfect. Anybody wants to sign up, like Dave said, that Bandzoogle has offered this. Friends of Cover Band Central, if you're watching this webinar right now, you got a 30-day free trial, 15% off your first year. And Marianne said, what sort of price are we looking at?
Yeah, so there's 3 plans, basically 10, 15, or $20 a month. And if you subscribe to any of the annual plans, you get 2 months free. So it's basically 100, 150, or $200 a year, minus the 15% off your first year. So that's kind of what you're looking at. Again, so the different plans, it depends, on how many pages, how many photos, how many tracks in terms of music, what e-commerce functionality you want. So the pro plan, the $20 a month, is like unlimited everything. You get access to all the, e-commerce features, but all of the plans, you have access to the design tools, the hosting, custom domain name, music player, gig calendar, that kind of thing. And you can always upgrade or downgrade anytime you get an immediate prorated disc refund if you're downgrading plans. So it depends where you are in your career. Some people during the pandemic had to, scale back on expenses. And so they, went from the pro plan to the light plan, and you get that immediate refund prorated. And then you can always go back up when the timing is right. So yeah,
that's cool. That's, I mean, yeah, very, very affordable. Like Marion said, it's very good value. And some people pay more than that for gym memberships and don't even go to the gym. So
they're counting on that, actually.
Yeah, they are. So you're getting nothing for your $20 a month, basically. But with Bandzoogle, you're getting a lot. You're getting everything you need as a musician or as a band online. Everything you need. I mean, you can go back when we're done and watch this whole webinar again and just kind of pull out the stuff that Dave showed you how to do, the best practices, best tips. There's a ton of resources on the Bandzoogle site of blogs and articles that they've written over the years to help out musicians. It is for musicians. There's no better way to go about it. Like, forget about all the other options. Why would you pick anything else? I mean, it doesn't. You get the hosting. A lot of people don't even realize, like, oh, I need hosting. What is hosting? What does that mean? Yeah. You guys take care of it. You get the domain name. You can take it with you if you want to leave. You got it forever. It's your little slice of the world, the internet world, your piece of real estate. It's a no-brainer. You need a website. Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, sorry to cut you off. Just in terms of like being for musicians, like one of the reasons why we've been able to build out a lot of these specific tools and functionalities, because we're mostly musicians at the company, but also we've been listening. I think there's been over 150,000 different artists that have used Bandzoogle over the last 18 years. And any suggestion, any feedback we get from our members, whether it's through our support team or at conferences or what have you, we log every single suggestion and it's categorized. And then our CEO with our development team takes a look at that every month and they sort through and like, okay, we need to build out some of these things. We're getting a lot of requests for this. This is what's going on. And so Bandzoogle is a reflection of the needs of musicians, because musicians have been, for many years telling us what we should be building for them to make their lives online easier. Yeah,
there you go. And having that 24/7 support from real people, in case anybody missed it, they actually have a support, a way to contact with actual real people who will help you if you have a problem. But I'm sure it's pretty easy. Like you said, it's all kind of point and click, drag and drop, just pick your design, put in your content, boom, there you go. You have a pro looking site. And all there's a ton of Cover Band Central members that already use Bandzoogle. And I put up that question a couple months ago when I first contacted you. And I looked through all the ones that they had, and they all look fantastic. They all look really slick, professional, but they're all different. They're all very customized to the uniqueness of that artist or band or person. And I was really impressed just by seeing that alone. So having your own to go in there and play with, make it your own colors, your favorite hockey team, whatever you want to do.
Exactly.
Excellent tips. Excellent company that you work with there. I love Bandzoogle. And again, everybody out there, Cover Band Central members, 15% off your first year. You get the 30-day free trial. And I mean, 30 days, go check it out. Try it for free. And if you don't like it, then get out. But there's no reason you're not going to like it. And you can always ask me questions too. I'm available all the time. So if anybody has an issue and if they want me to pass along to Dave, I can do that too. Absolutely. We're here for you. I mean, that's one of the reasons I built this community, Dave, is to really help out the musicians, because I'm a musician. I'm still to this day a working musician. So I know what it's like. I know what musicians need. And that's awesome. The same thing with your company. You guys know what people need out there. So it's great that you listen to feedback, you take it all in, you make the adjustments, and you grow as things change and times grow. Exactly. Mary said, "Great info. They'll definitely check it out." She's in Ireland. She's a dedicated Cover Band Central member. She's
Awesome.
just been around for a while. So cool. All right. So everybody click on that link in the description and get your discount. And thank you, Dave, so much for being here for
Thanks,
our
Steve.
audience.
Appreciate it.
And you can hang around here for a second, but we will see you guys. I'll be back later today for Tribute Tuesday. And